Coming up this week on Beyond the Vibe, we have Kim Jennett.
And then you're in a room with 4 chairs with their backs turned to you, no audience. They're on like screens. Why did you do this, Kim? It's like, I didn't pick it.
Secrets,
Through the looking glass.
We're pretty old, aren't we?
Don't bring me into the old.
I'm pretty old.
Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Vibe, the show that cuts deep into the world of music.
My name is Aaron Day, lead guitarist of UK band These Wicked Rivers, and I'm here with music videographer and photographer. It's Mr. Ryan Vasey.
These intros are getting more elaborate each time.
I've practiced that 48 times and nobody gave me a single bit of positive feedback, but I still went ahead and did it. And I think that shows my courage and my conviction in my art.
Fair enough.
Nice controversial start to the show there. I'm not sleeping well at the minute. I think it's making me quite aggressive. How are you, Mr. Vasey?
Oh, we're doing okay. Yeah, it's
What's
kind
to
of
report in the world of
well,
Vasey?
this is the difficult thing, isn't it? Everybody asks each other, how are you doing? And it's like, I've been doing the same thing since the start of this.
We all have to go into small talk, like auto-generator at that point.
Yeah, I've got to a point where I'm starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel. I'm like, I had some pretty stellar tea last night. So, you know what I mean? It's like...
Smoking, yeah.
Yeah, but...
Hot combo.
Exactly.
Hot convo.
Venturing into partridge territory.
A little bit. I love venturing into partridge territory. It comes very easily to me, particularly now that we're behind mics. It's
I know,
a dangerous
right? It's
thing.
easy, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see how he went down that path, to be fair, Alan. You know, it's a dangerous warm bath.
Aye. So, what have you been listening to this week?
It's been a mixed bag. I mean, I tend to do this, don't I? I'll go a bit heavy for a bit.
Yes.
And then I'll go back to listening to Bartley James Harvest. You know,
you
get
kind
my
of...
pajamas and my pipe.
It's like an elastic band, isn't it? You go so far and...
That's it, man. I've been listening to a lot of modern Megadeth. So, like, when I was about 14, I listened to United Abominations. That has got when they did that. They did a re-recorded a Tout Le Monde with Christina Scabia. And that's kind of like a more modern version. It's on that album, United Abominations, but there's like loads of really great just modern thrash on there. Songs like Sleepwalker, Washington is Next, and then other albums like 13. You know, I just think I've got this real appreciation for modern thrash done really, really well. Like Testament as well.
Okay.
Like, and I really dig it. You know, it's got an energy to it. And for a long time, I didn't listen to stuff like that from when I was young, because I went through this period of rediscovering myself, listening to a lot of stuff from the 60s, you know, in the early 70s, and going very hippie. But now I feel really comfortable in sort of what I enjoy and what I like. So I'm kind of quite comfortable diving into the heavier side without it. Guilt-free thrash.
That sounds like a genre in itself.
GFT, guilt-free.
There we go.
What about yourself? Have you been listening to much?
Kind of just an assortment of different things. I checked out the 2 singles from Duskoda. Yeah, I was pretty into that. Seems quite an interesting thing they've got going.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the shining bands of like the new wave of classic rock thing. Been picked up by Earache.
Yes.
It's the big thing. Obviously, we spoke to Baz, and he spoke about how integral Earache were for Wagons, and have pulled them from the ashes, and now they're obviously one of the biggest bands knocking about on our level. So... yeah, it's a good place to be here, right?
Yeah, it's interesting things. I mean, I particularly like the first music video they did, where they got the classic cars.
Yeah. Cool
I'm
vibe.
big on that kind of thing.
I mean, it's the dream. It's the little boy dream.
That's what I'm saying. It was like, I'd like to be doing stuff like that.
Now, a lot of what, like, would you say the majority of what we listen to is bands? Like, how many solo musicians would you say you listen to? I was just thinking about
it's
that.
It's an interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because obviously relating to this week, we have Kim Jennett coming right up.
Right up, yeah.
So stick with us. But yeah, so it's hard to think of, isn't it?
Obviously Ozzy, a big one for us, solo musician.
Yeah, that's true.
Backing band. You know, obviously he's had guitarists that are pivotal to him, similar to Kim with Mike. Guitarists that kind of stay with them for a number of years as a writing partner. But there's not many.
I can't you know what? Like, outside of Ozzy.
Bowie?
Yes, Dave. Yeah, but then again, you see, I can't think of anybody alive. And that's hang on, Neil Young.
Yes.
He's still just about knocking about.
Yeah.
Bless him.
I can't think of many off the top of the head, which is why I'm staring directly at you.
Yeah, I mean, the ones for me are like Ozzy, David Bowie, Lou Reed.
I'm not a big Lou Reed fan, but I think you can put him up there.
Yeah, I could put him in there.
I think his career stands alone. I think that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Prince. I'm not a massive Prince fan, but again, Tom Petty, but a lot of people put Tom Petty with the Heartbreakers.
This is it, though, isn't it?
See, but that's like him with his backing band, you know. And the reason, as Ryan alluded to, I kind of brought this question up, is this week we're kind of chatting about the difference between a solo artist and the dynamics involved in that, backing band, you know, touring musicians, and having a full band complex where you're all on the same level and you're on the same vibe. And it might be that when you're a solo musician, you're on the same level, you know. But I think it's just an interesting thing to talk about, because for me personally, I've only ever played in bands. You know, I've never been a supporting guitarist for a solo musician. I've never been a solo musician with a band, you know. So it's very difficult for me to relate to that construct. So it'd be interesting to chat with Kim about how it differs from being in a band. What about yourself? Would you prefer to be a solo musician with a band? Or?
I think there's a lot of pressure if you're a solo kind of artist, because it all hinges on you. Like you've got to kind of you're the person that people come to see. Like just you, really, isn't it?
Great point.
They like in terms of making an album, writing songs, you're probably the one that is just predominantly going to be writing it.
Expression of you.
This is it. It's all pressure, you, isn't it?
Creative pressure to make sure that everything is the right projection of you as well. You know?
This is it. Like, I don't think I'd want it, you know, because I think like when it's just you, there's nobody you can really fall back on, is there?
No, well, obviously from being in the band, you can bounce off like you say, you can bounce off the different members. You know, sometimes I'll come in with Rivers with quite a far out there opinion, and like me and Dan are quite different. But what helps is that he'll have an opinion, I'll have an opinion, and we come together, and that's normally the right decision for a band. Whereas obviously, if you're a solo musician, it's your ship. You're the only one pioneering that journey. You know, so it must be difficult, because sometimes you probably have to make mistakes to get to the right place, you know. Mistakes can be hard on that musical journey, you know.
Yeah, I think at that point, maybe if you're on a label, it's just like you and the label.
Yeah, it's a weird construct, but it does seem like Kim and Mike were very much on that same page. I know she's done stuff with Mike, and Mike's obviously been. Yeah,
I think they've got a little partnership going there. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I think that's the key. If you can find somebody to go along with, that may be the thing. So, yeah, let's have a listen now and see what Kim has to say about it all. So this week on Beyond the Vibe, we're chatting to Kim Jennett, solo musician, well known around the new wave of classic rock scene, and we're discussing what it's like for the solo musician compared to being in a band complex.
Yes. So let's go right back to the beginning. What got you into singing in the first place?
Gosh, right back in the beginning was school, probably. I started doing musical theatre, which is quite a contrast to what I do now. But I got like the role of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, and I had to sing for that, and I was like, well, I've never sang before. I don't know how this is going to go, but I'll give it a go. And then I love the singing more than the acting, and I just went with that. And then I've been doing that ever since, because school was rubbish. So I just decided to go off and do gigs and pretend I was older than I was, so I could get into venues and stuff.
That's cool. I mean, you mentioned about the fact that you kind of did the musical performance, and how Dorothy's pretty much like couldn't be further away from what you do now. I mean, your voice is kind of set apart by that distinctive rock edge you give to it, very much like Lizzie Hale sort of vibe, you know. Is this something you kind of quickly wanted to identify as a vocalist? You know, did it quickly fall into that rock edge, or was it something that you were into rock music, so you kind of went more for that style?
I think like in uni, I got into blues a lot more. Well, I went to university in Manchester, and the people that I started hanging around with, and the people that I started playing music with, because I went to BIM, which was like a lot of performing musicians. We all got put into bands together and stuff. And the crowd that I kind of got in with listened to a lot of blues music, a bit of rock, like Led Zeppelin and Sabbath. and kind of like that kind of stuff. And we listened to that a lot. And like a group of us got together and formed a band, which was Voodoo Blood. And it kind of, we started out wanting it to be a blues band. And then it got heavier and heavier as the times got tougher for uni. We got more sick of our exams. And yeah, it just kind of developed with, I guess, smoking a lot more cigarettes and drinking a lot more booze. I don't know. I feel like it's just, at this point, the rock edge is just scars on my voice. It's
by the time you're 60, you'll be talking like Michael Caine, man.
Oh yeah. I'll be like, all right, guys. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, in relation to what we're discussing on this week's show, what was your like first outing into the kind of musical role? Like, was it part of that band, or like was it just on your own at the start and then you went into a band, or?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, I've been, as I said before, I've been playing music since I was like in school, like too young to get into these places. I just went out with my acoustic guitar and just played wherever I could. And then I started playing with other musicians and getting in bands and going on tour, really. I've just been doing that since I could. I've just tried to play as much as possible since I discovered music was a thing. So
No, that's cool. So, I mean, you mentioned a bit about Voodoo Blood. I mean, there'll be a lot of people, obviously, from your appearance on The Voice, which we'll obviously reflect about in a couple of questions' time, that maybe just discovering you. A lot of the stuff kind of, you know, is that it's people checking you out and maybe kind of going more towards that solo stuff. But just talk to us about Voodoo Blood, how that, you said it kind of came together in BIM. So all you guys, did you meet at uni and it just developed from that? And did it continue after uni after that?
Well, we all ended up kind of, I mean, a few of the lads graduated, but a couple of us quit just so we could go on tour, basically. So we didn't finish uni because we just decided that's what we wanted to do, was play. Cool. So we bought a van, worst van you've ever seen, disgusting, always stunk like boy and weed and all that horrible stuff. Like, it was a proper crappy van. Sweaty t-shirts thrown in there that had gone hard, like all of that. So we just went off and did that for the last years of when we were supposed to be in uni. But that was great. I forgot the question. What was the question?
It's all right.
Was it a question?
No, it was more kind of just diving into the kind of the beginnings of Voodoo Blood, and I think you've covered that quite well. So maybe toward the end of that and your transition to kind of looking at the next part of your career. What kind of, you know, because you speak with Voodoo Blood, and I remember obviously like we spoke before we kind of came into the interview. Like obviously I can remember us gigging with you guys. You know, I think it was in Coventry. It feels like it was at the Arches. I feel like
Arches in Coventry, it might have been.
I feel like that was the vibe. And like you yourself came up like in the band, just a great energy, you know, a really cool vibe. But how come that kind of, you know, found its place to kind of end and for you to move on into the next part of your career?
I mean, as I said before, we were like touring in this gross van. We didn't have a lot of money, and we were just scraping by, really. So it was unsustainable, really. Right. So I had to go out and try and find a way to make money, really, unfortunately, or fortunately, because it kind of pushed me on to do other things. Yeah. But it was not sustainable, what we were doing. So I had to take it up a notch, really. No,
I admire your honesty with it. You know, I think you've got to believe in yourself and in your own personal path, really. You know, so like we say, for a lot of people that are coming in from checking out on The Voice, they're probably now checking into your solo career, and they're probably like, for a lot of people, like when I get into bands, they're probably looking at your first video on YouTube, which was a Zimba, which is, I believe, your alternate ego with the song "Love Like Suicide." Did you release anything prior to this from a solo perspective? And can you kind of give us an insight into you know, the idea with Zimba for people that have not checked it out before?
So Zimba is like a new pop project that I've started. So that's like my songwriting project. Cool. And then I released like Love Like Suicide and those songs, the rockier ones, that was just under Kim Jennett. Right. But those songs I wrote with a songwriter called Mike Gray. And we did like double headliner shows together, but he was the songwriter for that project. But then Zimba is stuff that I'm co-writing with my partner, and this is like a whole new alter ego and a whole new thing, because I've always done rock. So I thought I'd create another character where I can go and explore something completely different, which is Zimba, which is this new character that I've made. So I always think, like, when I'm making music and writing my own music, I feel like I become a different character, like I did with the Voodoo Woman and Voodoo Blood. I created like a persona. So now I'm feeling like a different sort of persona when I'm doing the softer music. So I wanted to create more of like a feminine character for myself to play, really, and write songs and make a story for her. So it's quite exciting.
Oh, that's cool. A lot of people, particularly from the new wave of classic rock scene, will know you, of course, with your association with Mike Gray. How did that whole thing come about?
I think he found me on a video on Facebook, playing in like a uni kitchen with an acoustic guitar, and he just messaged me and asked, "Hey, do you want to come and do some singing?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure," because I don't really say no to musical things like that, especially when you're a young aspiring musician. And I was trying to get out there as much as I could at the time, so I was just like, yeah, I'll come down. And I did a couple of songs with him, with the band, who, funnily enough, I don't know if you've seen, I did a Miley Cyrus cover, which is gone up recently, and I did that with some of the guys that I played with the Mike Gray band with first,
cool.
Which is mad. So it's cool. It's a small world. And then his singer that he had at the time dropped out of this tour that they had with Black Star Riders. And I was just like, well, he asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll leave my job at a bar I hate and come on tour with you. Yeah, definitely.
Now, obviously, as part of that progression to it, I'm sure one of your career highlights will be your barnstorming performance at Download in 2019. I mean, I went to school in Donington, Kim.
Really?
I lived in Keggett, which is just down the road. So, like, for me, like, that's kind of like the dream, man. That's like the mecca. Do you know what I mean? Playing at Download. So, I mean, how was it for you? Because obviously, I know you did kind of a video centered around it, and I love the energy and the excitement that comes across in that. You know, it really makes, you know, watching it, I was fucking jealous, man. You know, how was it?
That's fun. By the way, I've not complimented on your hat yet. It's a fantastic hat. I just have to say. I was admiring it before. Like, that's a really nice hat. All of mine have gone floppy over the years, but that's a solid hat.
That's the problem. I'm building up a collection during lockdown, but I'm not gigging, so I look a bit daft going into fucking co-op.
Pristine. It's great. It's like a crisp hat. I love it.
Ryan wears leather trousers and I wear twat hats, and that's how it works, you know.
I wear both, so
smashing
win-win. Smashing. Sorry, download was that was all right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all right. Standard.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
Good.
I would like a bit more of that.
Yeah, I can imagine. What was it like? Kind of talk to us about the excitement beforehand, and kind of the build up around that. You know, how was it for you? You know, did you have that nervousness? I mean, we all know from gigging, you know, you kind of build up a bit of a resilience to it. But I bet even with such a kind of climactic moment like that, it must have been, you know, you must have been running on pure adrenaline when you stepped out.
I think, like, it's weird. Any other aspect in life that's normal, like going to the supermarket or like working in a bar or something like that, I really struggle with, honestly. Like, I get anxious and nervous, and I'm quite an awkward person. But doing Download, I don't know, I was just like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. So it wasn't like it was excitement, it wasn't nerves, really. I just felt really at home and at a place and at one that's it's the holy grail. It's like I just felt at peace. But then I guess you do that and it was such an amazing thing, and then you come back to everyday life and it's tough, you know, going from such a high to just like, okay, I'm back in my room on my own, now what? So it never satisfied anyway. Never. As a I don't know if that's a musician thing or an artist thing, but
it's an artist thing. Like, I mean, I do like photography and videography and stuff, and I get the same thing. Like, you have this big build up to like an event or something, and then after it, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
You know. But moving on to 3 weeks ago, your episode was released with your appearance on The Voice.
Yes.
What made you decide to initially go on? Because I mean, you were speaking about like you get a bit anxious sometimes with certain things, and going on national TV. I mean,
that was another thing that just felt pretty, pretty like normal to do. I was like, yeah, this is the next stage. You know, I've done Download Festival. That was kind of the last big thing that I'd done. I was like, okay, what can I do next? What else can I do that's going to push myself into something I've never done before? TV. So I thought I'd give it a whirl. And we were all locked down at the time anyway, and I was doing my live streams every week on a Sunday, and that was kind of feeling like TV anyway. You know, sat in front of a screen performing to myself really, and I thought, well, let's go on a bigger platform and just go for it. So I'm glad that I did it. It was an interesting experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. It seems like a lot of people like online, like particularly from the rock crowd, have really attached themselves to you going on. I think there's always this thing, like I can remember when I was a kid and you'd watch obviously different variations of The Voice, like the X Factor and stuff like that. Whenever there's anyone that's alternative or comes at it with a different energy, like I can remember shouting to my mum in the kitchen, like, "Yo, we've got so much metalheads on, metalheads on," you know, like 6 years old.
When it'd come on screaming, you'd be like, "Wow, what is this?"
Yeah.
get it on TiVo, get it recorded, mum. You know, it's kind of this
But
mad.
they always take the piss out of them, don't they? It's like, oh, there's the one coming on screaming, thinking that they're a goth. Like, I don't know. I felt like The Voice portrayed me really well, to be honest. I was worried they're going to portray me as like, oh, here's the one who thinks she's a rock star. Like, you know. But they were quite. What's the word? Is there a word for that? Tentative? Not tentative. They just portrayed me all right.
Yeah, they seemed like they were open-minded and wanted to give you the best platform possible, you know, which is all you can really ask. And I think the Voice seems to be a better platform than previous incarnations that have come before, you know. So it seems like it was a good choice. I think it'll be a really positive platform for you, Kim. You know, and it seems like you've got like the video already's got, you know, upwards of like 250,000 views, which is, I bet that's mad.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just cool to get rock on Saturday night TV, primetime TV, to be honest. I think like a lot of the fans were chuffed with that. I know like, people were really angry though.
Yes.
People were getting like really defensive, and I was like, it's cool, it's fine, it's good.
I was about to get onto this thing. Yeah, I was about to get onto like what was it like for you, like with obviously when they didn't turn around, and then seeing the reaction from people going, why didn't they turn around? You know?
I mean, I was just like, it was weird, man. Like I was like, okay, I came off stage, I was like, yeah, that's cool. I fell over on my way off stage. They didn't put that on telly, which I'm so glad I went flying, because I did massively on. And then they like put a camera in your face, like, how does it feel? How was that? And it was like, I mean, well, it wasn't great. Like, I didn't get through, but it is what it is. Like, it's kind of nice to see that I've got like a huge support that are interested and that are talking about it at all, which is great. But yeah, a lot of people were angry, and it's just, well, you know, I was going on there doing something that isn't conventional anyway, and I'm glad that I stuck to my roots and went up there and did a bit of rock. But I didn't pick the song. The Voice like
right.
Oh, that's a really
which is what a lot of people were like, why didn't you do this, Kim? It's like, I didn't pick it.
Without revealing too many of like the secrets, you know,
through the looking glass.
What was it like there, Kim? Obviously, because I imagine you probably went to it with something, you know, quite that you had in mind for how you wanted to portray yourself. Were you able to kind of discuss that with them and come to a conclusion, or was it very much, you know, this is what you're going to be singing?
Well, they wanted to know about me, and I sang a lot of songs for them, and we had a lot of interviews and things like that before the actual show. I mean, I got scouted for the show. I didn't decide that I wanted to go on it.
Oh, that's interesting.
And Yeah, I've been scouted like about 3 times now for The Voice and for X Factor, and I've said no every time. That's when this year I was like, well, I've been asked to do it so many times now, I might as well just give it a go. But you do a lot of auditions before you actually go onto the show, and I sang lots of different songs for them, but at the end of the day, they need something that starts slow and builds up, because that's what gets a reaction on TV. They're waiting for that climax. So it made sense to do a song that built up like that. I wanted to do Cry Baby by Janis Joplin, because that just starts with a massive, like the big scream at the beginning. But obviously they just wanted something that had a bit more push and pull. But it was hard to do that when there wasn't an audience.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Because of COVID, and I'm used to doing gigs where people have paid to come and see me, so they're all there and they're all rooting for you, and then you're in a room with 4 chairs with their backs turned to you, no audience. They're on like screens, like
yes,
weird.
Yes. I was going to say, like, what is that kind of different? Obviously, it's like a totally different thing, isn't it? Just having like 4 people sat there with their backs to you and just nothing else.
Yeah, and it's like, I have to convince you that I'm good, that I'm worthy.
Yeah, and there's no audience reference, is there, at that point either?
It's just like, and you can see I'm like a deer in the headlights. And sorry, my headphone keeps going weird and cutting off. I'm like a deer in the headlights when I first come out. I'm like, oh my god, this is so weird, because it was literally like that episode of Black Mirror. They've got all of the screens, and I was like, this is so trippy. Like,
so they just have that big screen of people on when you're there as well.
Yeah, but it like you can't hear them, so it's just like silent.
That's even weirder.
That's my nightmare sorted for the weekend. When I smash a couple of bottles of wine.
It was scary. Yeah, cool. Man. Like it was like, when you're doing something and it's like, is this real? This feels like I'm in a literally like a TV show, because I wasn't a TV show.
It's as if you're in TV.
It's like I was on a TV show, because I was. Yeah, it was weird, but I'm glad that I did it. Man. I always like to be pushed. And yes, hopefully some new people heard me sing. It was nice, even though I thought the performance was pretty par, to be honest. I wasn't totally happy with it. As I said, I was so nervous, so I was a bit wobbly, and I'm used to belting songs out, and that is quite a slow beginning to that song, so I was a bit like, oh, this is scary. But it was fun. It was a good experience still.
I appreciate your honesty, man. I mean, it's at the end of the day, you can only give it your best shot, and and I think the biggest thing is just taking it as a positive experience, isn't it? It's a different platform. You bring in that alternative side to people that are probably not having a lot of it, so hopefully that's the biggest thing. So I hope it'll be a good platform for you, mate.
The guy from Spandau Ballet, am I saying that right? Spandau Ballet. He tweeted me after, and he was like, that was so good, and that got more retweets and stuff like that, and it just gets your name out there, and it was cool to see people like with such a big name being like, yeah, that was sick. So it was all in all a great experience, some great exposure, and hopefully, some people. And I've had so many messages of people like, I don't usually like rock music, but I really like your voice. And then I've got this pop project. So if people, are usually into that, they can go and check that out too. Because I personally, I love pop music. What kind of music are you two into? Are you like...
We're pretty old, aren't we?
Don't bring me into the old.
I'm pretty old, Kim. I kind of exclusively listened to music probably about 1969 to about 1982.
Amazing! No, that's fantastic.
That's pretty. Rye's pretty open-minded.
I try and keep fairly current.
You show me new bands, don't you?
Yeah, I'm that guy that throws people bands that people have never heard of before. And I am a bit like...
You probably never heard of them.
I'm that guy.
He's that annoying guy. He's that guy who wipes out the hipster card.
Yeah, I'm just like, here's this bizarre band from Canada.
Yeah. And I go, that's Rush, Ryan.
Yeah.
I discovered them in 1972.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, she showed me a band called Queen earlier, so I wonder what they're going to be like. Yeah, real cool underground band. Yeah, but yeah, we're pretty. I mean, we're pretty. I think we both connect on a lot of the rockier stuff. You know, I'm really into that retro rock and roll. You know, like I say, and I think you're pretty similar, aren't you? But we're pretty open-minded. I think I like the concepts that you said, particularly as a musician, that but giving yourself a platform to be able to express yourself creatively without constricting yourselves. We spoke to the dudes at Shape of Water last week, and we really liked the way they came across as well, where they kind of started a new band for the same sheer reason they just wanted that space to never feel like the things they've got inside of them they're having to kind of, you know, constrict, or, you know, that they've always got a platform so they can express themselves. And I like the fact that you've noted that maybe, you know, the stuff that the new wave of classic rock guys know you for isn't the right platform for that creativity that you've got inside you for the pop stuff, and you've looked at that different avenue. You know, I think that's definitely the best way to pursue it, and also give yourself that platform to express yourself that way.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like that freedom of expression, as you say, then, and you don't feel constricted because it's to genre. So then I can just think, well, if one day I want to make a pop punk song, I can just create another character and do that. It's just another. I mean, I don't know why. But
27 characters.
I was going to say there's going to be hundreds.
Like, I don't have a multiple personality disorder.
when you make your Irish folk character, give us a bell and we'll have you back on. Have a whole different vibe then.
Yeah, I'll come on like with ginger hair and everything.
Yeah. So something that I'm trying to make an effort to ask people in interviews, Kim, is particularly when we've kind of gone through your career and where you're up to now, and for people checking out for the first time. I mean, what do you do away from the music? Is music your main thing at the minute? Do you work elsewhere? You know, I think it's always cool to see the background of a musician.
So at the minute, because of the lockdown situation, I decided that like I hated doing normal jobs alongside the music, and I just wanted to do music. Like that's all I want to do. So I made it like my goal this year to make myself self-employed and just do music. Cool. So I've been doing like the live streams. It's been hard because we've not been able to gig. But yeah, live streams, I've been doing them. I got Patreon. Patreon is cool. Such a great platform. Because you can just put out songs and put out music, and it makes you want to create more content and do more musical stuff, and the fans can give back as well. So Patreon's been great. And then I do session work as well. I've got like a little home studio set up, and I just made it my goal this year to do everything I can to make money by just doing music. So this is all I do now. Literally all I do is music, which is great.
Yeah, that's cool. Same with the boys in the Shape of Water. Similarly, I think if you can make the most out of lockdown, try and use it as an opportunity whilst the world's on pause to try and be who you want to be, I think that's the best way to make a positive out of it.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's been really hard to try and get the energy to keep going. But then little things like this, like podcasts and stuff, have been great. And I like watching other people's when I'm feeling like that, and they really motivate me. So I think it's cool what you guys are doing during this as well. You've had some great people on, some great guests as well. Like, it's cool that you're doing.
No, I appreciate that, mate. And we'd love to tell you we've got them next week, but we're not allowed.
Oh, I have no idea.
I'm not doing more editing.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
Can't reveal that information, but no, really appreciate it. I think one of the things when we've chatted to people, because obviously with me kind of chatting with bands that I've gigged with and stuff, you know, it's nice to be able to try and bring the community back together a little bit, and just have that banter and feel like we're at gigs and we're having a pint and we're just catching up in general, you know. So it's nice.
That's what it feels like.
I'm glad it comes across like that, you know. We're glad to be a vessel for that, you know, the best we can. So after reaching many more faces with your appearance on The Voice, as we've reflected on, what plans do you have to make 2021 a year to remember?
Gosh, I mean, I'm going to keep going with the live streams, like, because we're locked down, but as soon as we're allowed to gig, I'd love to come out and do some Kim Jennett gigs and some solo gigs, maybe some acoustic gigs, because that's how I've got a lot of my platform at the minute through the live streaming. So that would be cool to kind of go back to my roots and do a bit of that, but it all depends on the lockdown. I do have a few things that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, because they're all in the running. Woo! which is really exciting. But yeah, it's all dependent. It's hard to plan anything really at the minute. So I guess just more recording, more of what I can do. More Zimba songs, definitely. I've got a few singles on the way for that. Yeah, what are you guys like that? Are you finding it hard to plan anything for this year, not knowing what's gonna go on with the lockdown and things?
Yeah, a little bit. I think our problem's writing, because obviously like I'm a couple of us are similar to yourself from a band perspective, where we've got like a bit of a setup, like I've got a bit of a studio setup, but some of the boys haven't, so it's difficult because you kind of don't want to run away with songs or ideas, but at the same time you want to kind of flex your creativity a little bit. So we're trying to, when we would have had band meetings, which we're meeting up on Zoom and having writing sessions where we'll share ideas and kind of do actions a little bit. What about you, right, from like a videographer's perspective?
Well, the thing is that my world's very heavily connected to you guys' world. So it's like without you guys putting out stuff, I can't then come in and put out something. So like we have things that like, I'll do this when lockdown's over, but it's like I can't go, we'll do it at this date, because it's like,
when's lockdown going to be over?
Like we just don't know, do we?
We were lucky. We went down and did a session in Gloucester, and Rye came down and filmed us for that. We're doing a live stream for that.
We just like scraped that through.
Yeah, man, we just sneaked that in. It was literally just like we were hanging on for dear life. Like I think everything was getting shut down, and we just got down there. So we've got that, and we've kept that footage, and we just save it. Like we've got a live stream on in the middle of Feb for that. So yeah, just trying to kind of to get by really. Trying to keep as much content up as possible. I think that's the hardest thing. It's good though, Kim. As you said, it pushes you to be more creative. I've had
to learn guitar again as well. Like I haven't picked up guitar for years, and now I've had to pick up a guitar so I've got something to play, like to complement the singing. So yeah, it's pushed a lot of people out of the comfort zones. I know a lot of friends that have started recording themselves from home and things like that now as well, learning new skills. Some days it's tough, but like it's been interesting, I guess, to see where it's taken some people. Like my friend Matt Jones, he's done a lot like with the Patreon and stuff like that, and he's released like an album every week or every month or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, it's insane. He's mental. I don't quite know if he's actually gone insane because of the lockdown, or if he's just the most productive guy I have ever met.
That's a strong output.
Yeah, it's one or the other. There's no in between.
So we asked this question recently to Baz from Massive Wagons that was met with a lot of profanity. But is there any particular vocalist that you drew inspiration from when you were kind of finding your identity as a performer?
I think, as you said before, you mentioned Lizzie Hale. Lizzie Hale was like one of those people that I've never heard before, and then I found in uni, and I was like, who is this? This is so cool. How is someone singing like this? Like the grit on her voice and the screams that she does. I was like, I want to do that. That's badass. I'm gonna learn how to do that. So she inspired me a lot. And then Elvis Presley was someone who really inspired me. Yeah, randomly, like
what, for the voice or the style?
Mostly the stage presence, to be honest. Though I just love the way that like he puts himself on stage. He's such a performer. Again, like Freddie Mercury is another one. I just love people that have that persona and that presence and that energy on stage live, which I miss so much. You must be missing it, like the live experience though. Like it's I'll
tell you, Kim, it didn't hit me till the start of this year. Probably interviewing Baz actually, because one of our last gigs was with Wagons in Wolverhampton, and it was a fucking really good gig. I remember like my missus from Wolverhampton, so she came along and she'd not seen Wagons before, and we stayed and watched the whole of their set, and there was just a really good vibe. There's a lot of people there that we know and love, and so when we had the interview with Baz, I was listening to a lot of Wagons stuff, and they just kind of hit me a little bit like, oh fuck, like I'm struggling a little bit with it now, and it's prepared for it, man. Like I've been all right because I work. I'm quite focused with work and stuff. Like it's not been too bad, but yeah. So it's hit me quite hard. And like you say, it's the realization that it's probably not going to happen. Like if this year that much, if at all, you know, it's sadness, man. But you just got to try and pull yourself out of it and make the most of it, as you've done. You know, that's all you can do, innit?
Yeah, it is hard though because it's different, and as humans, we're meant to be social creatures, and that's why people love gigs, to be around lots of people. It's that atmosphere. You know, if we didn't love that, we wouldn't go to gigs. We'd just sit in our room listening to music. It's all about the people and that community as well. So it's been really tough to not have that and not have that outlet at the weekend. This is why this is nice, because it feels like, you know, musicians and creatives having a chat, having a beer. So I think it's important to just keep little things like this going throughout it all, you know, just keeping ourselves sane with things like this while we can. But it'll come back. I'm sure it'll come back. People will be so hungry for it.
Yeah, that's the one.
So hungry.
Well, this is the thing I've said. I feel that it could, in the long run, it could be more beneficial for like the whole scene in general. Because like I think when a gig comes around, I don't think people will care. They'll just be like, I just want to go to a gig, like, and it's just going to sell out. And I think, you know,
literally.
Yeah. And beforehand, I mean, there's a good vibe around the UK music scene, but it was still hard. You know, you had to work hard to get people to come out, and there's a lot of factors involved in that, you know. But hopefully, I mean, without getting too fucking end of a party deep about it, you know, I do think
you're bringing us down.
I can't help it. Yeah, I fucking feel about it, you know. I do think that if there's a lot of things with the lockdown where you can focus on the simple things and the foundations of what you're trying to do, and all the stuff we took for granted before the lockdown that we're now missing. You know, it's starting to think, we've not got this, so we're now having to build it up. So technically, when we come back, we should be a better package for all the things we took for granted. You know,
this is it. I think it's going to come back stronger. I'm going to remain positive. That's what.
It's good. It's a good plan. I'm missing those warm beers and those sticky floors so much now. Yeah, I do think it's going to stop us from taking things for granted. 100%. 100%.
I don't take for granted carrying Artwell's gear. That's probably a bad.
God, I miss carrying my gear as a singer. I've got one whole bag with a mic in it.
So finally, a question that I like to finish on with everybody that comes on the show. If you could gig with one band from the past and one band from the present, who would they be?
Oh no, I hate questions like this because it's
could be a solo artist, could be a band.
Okay, from the past.
Yeah.
Motley Crue would be great, wouldn't it? They had a lot of fun.
That'd be a wild time.
Yeah, it would be wild. Exactly.
It's gone for the party, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think we had this last week as well, you know. I think Motley Crue.
Really?
Yeah.
They just want they said Aussie.
Well, they went with a Shape of Water went with a mad combination of Rammstein, Ozzy, and like Motley Crue.
I think Pink Floyd were in there as well. So
it's a crazy lineup.
Wow. Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be a great party. Ozzy as well. Ozzy's such a legend.
Yeah.
You could still call him current. He did a song with Post Malone very recently. That was damn current. I don't know. See, I love pop music, and I listen to a lot of pop music. Like, I think Billie Eilish, I think she's such a rock star at the minute. Like, I think she'd be cool to tour with, or gosh.
Tough question, isn't it? Everybody goes, oh my God.
So tough. Because I don't know, because I've got lots of different avenues at the minute. So it's like, if I was going to go for someone like rock, or if I was going to go for more of a pop singer, I don't know.
You could pick like one from pop and one from rock.
One from pop, one from rock. That makes it even harder. Now I've got two choices. It's even more difficult.
Easy.
I'd tour with anyone right now. I would anyone.
Right from down the pub.
Like.
I think the Motley Crue Billie Eilish thing's not far off. You know, I think that could work.
Yeah,
it'd be an interesting cross section there.
Yeah, I mean, from a fan perspective, it'd be an interesting one. But in terms of the music, it's not. I don't think it's too far.
I just thought of who I wanted to tour with. It just go.
Here we go.
Yeah, I thought you was going
Miley
to
Cyrus. Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus.
So you having Motley Crue and Miley
100%.
Cyrus?
Motley Crue and Miley Cyrus.
I think that would fit, you know.
Yeah, man. Two of my favourite bands.
Every time I look at you, I think massive Miley Cyrus
Yeah,
fan.
Motley Crue could do a mean
love her.
party in the USA.
Oh yeah, they could. That would be sick. No, I love Miley. She's a rock star, man. Like her new album, she's done a song with Joan Jett and Billy Idol. Like
That's cool. Yeah.
It's badass. It's a rock record. It's like it's nothing she's ever done before. So she's a massive rock star at the minute. I think so. Miley and
Motley. Miley and Motley.
They make great dog names. Miley and Motley.
We've sorted off future dog names.
Yeah.
We've sorted this fake tour out. You know, we could, if we kept going, we could probably solve world poverty. But I think we should leave it to them. I think we should leave it to those that are in charge of it. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I wouldn't leave it to them.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's a good
You're getting
point.
me sweating now.
Yeah.
Let's get political.
Fucking don't open that can of worms. Jesus, but we'd love to chat to you, Kim. Thanks ever so much for your time. It's been good vibes.
Great.
It's been great.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me.
No, pleasure. For those that haven't checked out Kim's work, her most recent single is her alter ego Zimba, Too Bad for Love, has been released to the world. Go check it out. Give us some love on Facebook, Insta and YouTube. Are you still doing your weekly streams, Kim?
I am,
On a
yes,
weekly
every
basis. Where can people
Tuesday.
find that?
It's just on my Facebook page, Kim Jennett, and you can join the event, which I haven't done one this week, but I will.
Well, get your arse in gear.
Yeah.
I need to sort my shit out.
So
Doing bloody podcast, just having a chat, that's fine.
no, absolute pleasure. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's been great.
So yeah, that was Kim Jennett.
Nice, isn't she? She's a lovely girl.
Yeah, very nice person.
Thankfully, we're quite lucky that everybody we talk to.
This is the thing. It
bloody
sounds a bit.
lovely gazers.
I feel like it's cliche at this point. Like we're going, oh, everybody's great,
We're not taking the piss.
but
yeah.
this is it though. It's like we've just been very fortunate with people every week. I mean, I'm waiting for the week where it runs out.
yeah. Well, so that might come. It might come one day. I mean, I'm ready for it because I think it'll probably be entertaining for everyone involved. So when we get someone just bombarding us with abuse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. You know.
I think the key is like compared to times gone by is I think because everybody's just trying so hard within the particular arts, particularly during COVID, because we've all had to adapt and whatnot. I think there's a real sense of togetherness. You know, we're all on the same page. We've all been put on pause a little bit, so we all just want to support each other to get back to where we deserve to be. And I think there's that real, like when we've been doing the interviews, right? Like I feel like when we chat to people, there's that there's that willingness to talk about what they care about because they've not been able to go onto a stage and project it for so long. You know, so I think that comes across really well. So, and Kim's a great example of that, you know, and obviously with her appearance on The Voice, you know, this 2021 COVID free would have been like a massive year for her, and I think it still can be. You know, we don't know where things are going to go, but I think we've learned to adapt a little bit now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward for her in particular because it's like she's just gone out in front of I don't know, millions of people. I mean, yeah, other bands and artists aren't going to get that at the minute. So that's kind of a
great platform, especially at this point.
It's a good way to, at this moment in time, I think, push yourself forward. So
I'd agree. And as we said at the end of the interview, if you've not checked out Kim Jennett, please check her out on all the social media platforms. She's always live streaming. She's always doing covers and her own stuff. You know, she really works for her art. So make sure you check her out and give her a follow.
Yes. So that is all for this week. But tune in next week, as always, for a new guest each week.
Indeed.
And if you like us on Facebook, you'll find out who it is.
And if you've got us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, click the bell so you never miss a video. We have videos like this out Saturday, 10 a.m. every week. Never miss a week.
But you will find that Wednesday, when we reveal who said guest is, that we have a little bit of a different thing going on.
Oh, a little bit of a different.
Yeah, so
I'm very interested.
Tune in to find out what
I'm
we've
very good
got.
at pretending that I don't know, but I probably don't know. So.
Yeah, tune in for our completely mystery guest.
See you next week.
Yes.